All right. Good morning, everyone. Lots of people up bright and early, which is good. We're coming into the last quarter of our year, so it's super important. Focus. Let's hit our goals for the year. I don't know how many you were here last year, but we sat down in December. We talked about our goals for the year, what our goal setting was. We're going to do it again. Selvin and I will sit down again this December and talk about what the goals are. So if you probably got a sheet from me where we wrote down what our goals are. So we hopefully are hitting those for our last quarter. If we haven't, we have to put a little push into our work right now, work a little bit harder. We get a little spike for the fall market naturally. And then they froze the interest rates, which is really great for us. So hopefully we'll find ourselves in more and more buyers at this time, and they're not so scared. I was in a bidding war just before the weekend, and I was surprised because there was 18 offers in total. And I can't believe that that's still happening now, because I find, a lot of the listings are moving. I hear that tone from the office, or they feel like their buyers aren't buying right now, but we're still sort of getting these bidding wars that are going crazy with 18 offers. So there's definitely some business to be had out there. You guys want to get out and do our last little push. So now we're in the fall market. What do we do? Okay. I always say to you guys, I try to get listings. Listings are the best thing for you to become a popular agent. Nobody knows you unless you're a listing agent. You're just a secret agent then. So you need to have your sign on the lawn. And once you have that listing, people are going to be calling you off that sign. You're going to get other buyers off of that listing, and you're going to have more people to work with then. So I thought we'd go back to scripts and dialogues. I kind of look at my training schedule over the past few years that I've been here, and I see what subject haven't I done in a while. So I figured I haven't done the scripts and dialogues recently. So I think it's time to do it again. So the first thing we should be doing is for sale by owners. Okay. They're a really good pot to pick from when you're looking for listings, because you already know that they want to sell. You're driving by, anytime you see a for sale by owner sign that's not a professional realtor sign out there, you definitely want to stop, take a picture, take the number down, and try and call them. So we can convert these for sale by owners quite easily. A lot of times you'll find, though, that they're annoyed because they're getting bombarded with calls from agents. A lot of agents are saying, oh, thinking the same thing. Oh, this is easy person to get a listing from because they already want to sell, and they're getting a million phone calls. So you have to know how to persuade them. So I'll go over this script first. I have a few other tips on top of the script that I normally use, but this is just one script. I think this is Mike Ferry or something like that one of the ones I had gone to. So a lot of these for sale by owners will say to you, just bring a buyer and I'll give you 3%. Because they figured that they're saving commission. Because if they list with you, they have to give you the listing side, and then they have to give the co-op side the 2.5. So they think by offering 3% to any agent calling them for sale by owner, bring me a buyer, I'll give you 3%. They think they're saving at least, a 0.5%, another percent, depending on what the listing commission was. So this script says, okay, if I bring you a buyer, you pay 3%. Is that correct? Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Can I make a suggestion? I would love to be in a position to speak intelligently to my buyers about your property. What would be the best time for me to stop by and preview your home? Tuesday or Thursday, 6 or 8. Okay, when I see you at 6, my presentation only takes 15 minutes. If it makes sense, great. If not, no problem. I look forward to seeing you. So I want to talk about one thing first when we're doing our scripts. You have to get into the habit of doing the repeat, approve, and build a bridge. When you're talking to people, you want to repeat what they said to you. Like, you want to reduce your commission. Oh, you'd like me to reduce my commission? Okay, not a problem. We'd like to talk about that. Yes. You never want to say no, right? Because that's what people hear is the no in their ear. So you want to approve and then build the bridge and go on to the next part of your subject. So in this for sale by owner script, what they're doing is they're building that bridge, and they're saying, okay, I have buyers I'm working with. I don't know if it's a good fit for my buyer. I'd love to come see your property. I'd like to speak intelligently to my buyer about your property. So can I book an appointment with you? And you don't want to leave an open-ended question where they could say yes or no. So part of your objection handling when you get into booking an appointment with people is you don't give them a yes or no question. You give them a question where they have to choose an either or. So you want to say to them, do you want a Tuesday or Thursday? Which works better for you? Do days or evenings work better? Is it 6 or 8 p.m. you'd like me to come? You want to give them those sort of options so they don't have the opportunity to push you off. You'll close more listing appointments that way. You'll get in front of people more often if you give them the either or option instead of the yes or no, right? So the for sale by owner on top of this script. So this script is basically taking that objection they have, saying, no, I don't want to list with you. Don't come and harass me. And sort of turning it into, no, I'd like to speak about your property intelligently for my buyers that I'm working with. And, while I'm in front of you, I might give you my presentation. But what I like to do as well, which I find really works very well and has worked for me in the past to convert a FSBO, is when you get in front of those for sale by owners, you want to tell them, you are paying me 3%. Normally, we only pay the co-op broker 2.5. Okay. You have nobody representing you in this transaction. So now, in essence, what you're doing is you're giving the person representing the buyer an additional 0.5, and you're going completely unrepresented. You have nobody representing your interests in this entire transaction. So isn't it silly to pay the buyer extra, the buyer's agent extra, the co-op agent extra to protect the buyer? Why don't you just pay that 0.5% more and I can represent you? So FSBOs are a hard conversion to give a 5% commission. I'm going to tell you that. I always tell you guys, fight for that full commission. But in these instances where I see the whole thing is revolving around just that commission part, they want to pay the 3% and avoid the listing commission. I like to bring them around to say, you have to invest in yourself as well. You have to invest in somebody protecting you during this transaction, somebody who has your best interests, somebody knows how to read the legalese, read the clauses, see that the buyer's agent isn't trapping you in any kind of funny clauses or pinning you down on something that you don't necessarily agree with. Someone who's used to reviewing the contract. So I say you only give the co-op 2.5. and you just spend that 0.5 extra and provide me with the commission. And if they're really sticky on it, you could always ask them, say, take the 3%, offer 2 for listing and give me the 1 then, and I'll still put it up for you as long as I'm getting something for this transaction where I can represent you and I can put it up on MLS. I can get you good exposure. Further to this, when you put your little sign in the lawn and you're a FSBO, your exposure is limited. Your exposure is to people driving by. It depends what other kind of marketing you're doing for your property. I have exposure to the MLS. I can put your listing up on MLS. I'm Remax, we're top brand. So it also goes out through those sort of filters wherever Remax has our listings up online. I have, all my social media in place. I have all my marketing in place. Anything I'm doing as far as flyering, just sold, just listed flyers, whatever I'm doing to market your property. So the more exposure you're getting, the more people you're being exposed to, the more people walking through your property, the more people fighting over your property. It's going to push the price up to top dollar anyways. So I guarantee you, if you're spending that extra 0.5% or 1%, that you're not going to really feel it because I'm going to get you more for your property anyways, surely because of the mass exposure I have, right, to all the realtors on the board. I will say there's 85,000 realtors on the Toronto Real Estate Board. If every single one of them is even working with 2 buyers, all of a sudden we're at 100, and 70,000. If they're working with 5 buyers, we're at 5 times that amount. So you got to just push those positive points and try to get the for sale by owner to see that really they're kind of hurting themselves in the transaction, both price wise, exposure wise, and as far as representation is concerned. And a lot of people will see that they kind of see how dumb they're being when you bring it to light that they're technically, they think they're doing a good thing. They're saying, oh, I'm going to offer an incentive. I'm going to offer 3%. I'm offering that buyer agent more, but they don't realize that, why would you do that? You're paying someone more to represent the buyer and you're not representing yourself at all. You're leaving yourself high and dry in the transaction. Nobody's representing your interests, right? So you have to push that point. And I find that's a really good conversion for sale by owners. Because like I said, honestly, they're going to get 100 million realtors walking through, seeing that sign on the lawn and calling them and saying, hey, can I sell your property? Can I sell your property? Can I sell your property? So it's the same sort of mantra all day long that they're hearing. And you want to just flip the script a little bit. And so you look like something fresh and they say, hey, this person's talking a lot of sense. They're saying something different. Let me try with them, right? And for sale by owners, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to call them. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to sell their property anyways. But I find from experience calling for sale by owners that generally a week into trying to sell their property, they're tired. So you know how everybody thinks our job is easy. Everyone goes, oh, you guys, no problem. You just put your property up, online and it sells. But we know how hard we work between the paperwork, the phone calls, the appointments, staging, the photography, all the effort we take to put into our listing. So I find about a week into trying to sell a house on their own, a for sale by owner is pretty much exhausted. They're fed up. They're happy to have someone to give the listing to at the end of the day. So definitely a good pot to pick from. Keep your eyes open now for this fall market. You might see some signs go up, people testing the market. They might say, I don't want to hire a realtor. Let me just test and see how many phone calls I get. And you'll see those, homemade signs in the lawn or the ones you buy at Canadian Tire. You're going to take a picture of everyone you see and call all of them. And you'll get a listing, I guarantee you. Okay. So that's the first one for sale by owners. Does anybody have any questions about that? Has anybody tried calling for sale by owners before? No, you got to call them. You got to call them because I'm telling you, because when they have the sign in the lawn, you already know they want to sell. So it's not a cold call. It's a warm call, right? They want to sell. You're not saying, hi, are you buying or selling? Hi, are you buying or selling? It's not like cold calling a neighborhood. You see the for sale sign in the lawn, you know that they want to sell, right? So it's definitely something good to do. I got a for sale by owner. It was a funny story. At my old office, I had called a for sale by owner on Bellamy, and they hung up the phone. And so I said, oh, okay. I was still nervous. Didn't like getting the phone hung up on. This is why I say you guys got to be numb. You got to not care when people hang up the phone on you, because you got to keep calling and calling. So they hung up the phone on me, and then a colleague of mine got the listing. And so I said to him, I go, hey, you got that listing? I called that for sale by owner. And he's like, oh yeah. So we ended up calling back the person who hung up on us. And we said, hey, you know what? We just wanted to know. And it's a good thing to do this because you learn. That's why I always ask you guys about good stories and bad stories. We learn from the bad, right? Because we learn how to improve ourselves. We actually called back that for sale by owner and said, hey, we called you and you gave our colleague the listing. Why? And he says, well, when he called me, I hung up on him, but then he called me back. And I was like, what? Why would you call someone back that hung up on you? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, but he was the one sitting with the listing and I wasn't, right? So you've got to be a little creative. Now, very often, if I think the person, if I have a chance, or if I think that, maybe I'm not mistaken, I kind of call back and I pretend, I go, oh, I'm sorry, I think our line got disconnected. I'm not going to call back and say, why did you hang up on me? But I do it often now. I call back all people who hang up on me at least once and say, I'm sorry, I got disconnected. If they hang up again, fine. Or if they're angry, fine, no problem. But sometimes they'll continue talking, right? Because it's knee-jerk reaction and we're human. And then they kind of feel bad about it. They might talk to you the second time around, right? Anyways, that listing was funny. It actually went from my colleague, then it expired. Then it went to me because I called it as soon as it expired on him. And he's a good soul. So it went back and forth, no animosity between the two of us. And then it expired on me. It didn't sell because our client was kind of looking for a lot of money. Then it went back to my colleague. He called when my listing expired and he ended up selling it in the end, right? So again, that's what another pool we can pick from. It's kind of a good segue to our next subject. We should be calling our expired listings, okay? So very often you'll hear we can't call expired, and it's true, okay? We do our listing paperwork on the MLS data sheet. It says contact after expired, yes or no, and we get our clients to check off yes or no. Everybody checks no because who wants to get called by 1,000 realtors, right? The fact remains is if you want listings, you're going to call expireds. You're not allowed to. So just be prepared for that. But there's a million other agents, they're calling all the expireds and they're getting the listings at the end of the day. So you just have to be mindful. Like I say, if people are angry or irate, leave them alone. Don't be too pushy because, you don't want a big complaint on you, but you should check and see what's expiring. And generally what I say to our clients, if you're going out for a door knock, I would say knock 5 doors before and 5 doors after the one you're targeting. So you can always say, no, I was knocking the neighborhood, and kind of plead a little bit of ignorance that way. Same with your phone calls. Maybe you want to show that I was calling this whole street. but I definitely call expireds. I've gotten listings off of expired. So this is a good place for you to pick from, because again, you're going to know that it's a warm lead. You're going to know that it's somebody who actively wants to sell their house, right? And they weren't able to sell it because either the agent didn't do a good job, maybe they want more money than the market's warranting right now. Something's going on with their listing where it expired or got terminated, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is going to look up here and just see. Actually, maybe let me just go see if I have the script open here real quick. I was going to go to Stratus to show you, but let's see if the script is open here in this pocket of ones I have. Oops. Has anybody looked up expireds in the neighborhood in their farm area? No, I don't have expired terminated here. Anybody look that up? Okay, you should be looking up. So like I said to you guys, there's several pillars you should always be working when you're looking for business. So whenever we take a listing, like I say, you're not going to be picky. You're not going to say, oh, I don't want to drive to Brampton or I don't want to drive to Oshawa. You take a listing wherever you get a listing from your center of influence. So your center of influence are your friends, your family, that list I keep on talking about over and over again. I go to back to that list over and over again to pull my business all the time, right? But you should always have your farm area too, right? So your farm area is an area of about 500 homes that you pick. And you're going to go, and that's when you go looking for business on your own, you always pull from that pocket. That's where you're sending your flyers out. That's where you're cold calling. That's where you're door knocking. So you're not just picking a needle in the haystack and door knocking randomly everywhere. You want to keep on focusing and nurturing that one area. So you're going to make it become your farm area at the end of the day, right? So when we talk about expireds, what you're going to do is you're going to look up your farm area. So let me just go into here real quick and show you guys what I'm talking about. Oh. Let's have 10 things open with Zoom on my computer, try to flick back and forth. Let me stop the share and come back in because I know sometimes you guys lose the share there. Okay, so we're going to come in here and I'm sure most of you are using, sorry, I just want to minimize this. Stratus right now. I think you guys should really try to start using Realm. But I'm just going to go in here real quick because I want to show you specifically the check boxes that you're looking for. Okay, so you're going to search, and I want to search unavailable. Okay, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to try and go around the office to see what's available there, or unavailable rather. So our office is E04. Okay. And I just want to see what was updated last in the last like 4 or 6 months, because right now I have 1,800 results. There's no way I'm going to ever get through that list. So I want to make sure that it's either expired or terminated. Okay. So that reduces it to 600 now. So I want to say that the last update of it being expired or terminated is in the last 4 or 5 months, whatever the case may be, since March. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's still 161. I'm going to reduce that a little bit. Let's go to May. Okay, there's still quite a bit, but anyways, I generally only want to see this come to about 40. Otherwise, you spend all day preparing to go out and do your door knock or your cold call, and you'll waste your time. So you want to bring it down to very few, because then what I do is I go and I sort by street name. And the reason I do that is because if you see my training on if your listing sitting stale, what to do, how to revamp, a lot of people take their listing off and they relist it because the old listing wasn't performing well. Maybe they did a price reduction. They want to make it look like a new listing. They've changed some details, maybe changed around the pictures. I don't know. So I want to see what the duplicates are, so I know what for real is terminated or expired. Okay. So I don't know. We'll take this one, 16 Virgin. I see it was listed twice. Okay. I wanted to go one step further before I call them and make sure they haven't sold. So I'm just going to focus on 16 Virgin. And this is why I reduced it to generally about 30, 40 properties, honestly. And I'm going to go available, unavailable. I'm going to go to Toronto. And I'm going to say 16 Virgin. Okay. And there's 2 listings. Okay, so I hit a jackpot right away. Normally this takes me a couple tries when I'm training because you never know what's in the system. So 16 Virgin has listed and not sold, been terminated twice. I'm just going to go, oopsie. I'll go back to that. I don't know what I did. Told you it's not my laptop today, so I'm a little like trying to figure out how to use it. The mouse pad is definitely backwards from mine, or the trackpad, I should say. Okay, so they had a contract date in April. Then they had a contract date in June. So this is pretty recent, 2023. Now we're September. I feel like maybe these people were asking, you see, they went 188, then they went down a little bit to 175. I definitely want to call this. So anybody watching this, everybody try and call 16 Virgin today. We might hit a jackpot and get a new listing. If somebody brings this into the office, I'm going to laugh. Make your cold call today and call 16 Virgin. Find out who the owner is. Okay. Because to me, they've tried twice. They reduced very little in their price reduction. So they definitely want something close to that price. So I feel like the market's performing a little better now than it did maybe in June, July, because we had that rate, the rate froze. And it's our fall market, right? So if I was looking, if this was in my farm area and I was looking at this is a good opportunity for me to call and say, hey, you know, Mr. Smith at 16 Virgin, how are you? I see that you were on the market twice and, you know, the market's performing really well. I might even look some stats around his house. If a couple have sold past June when he tried to list last, right? So it's my farm area. I should be knowledgeable of this anyways, but I'm going to say, hey, did you see 24 Virgin sold for 1.16? That's really close to what you were asking for. Would you like to perhaps try the market again now? I think things are doing really well. I think, you know, I was just in a bidding war. I tell them stories like of work that I was doing. I was just in a bidding war with 18 other offers the other day in the neighborhood. And you might have the opportunity to finally sell for the price that you were looking for. You know what I mean? Can I come by and maybe give you a market analysis, tell you about the last few things that sold, right? And try and get into Mr. Smith's house at 16 Virgin, right? Because it sold. I mean, it didn't sell, right? So if you look at other ones, you might not be as lucky. That's why I say only pick about 40. There's like 160 or 140 results here. So, you know, if we go to, I don't know, 463 Birchmount, we'll just try that with 463 Birchmount. Seriously, somebody call 16 Virgin though. I think it'd be wonderful if you guys got a listing after the training. Somebody better call me excited today with that listing. Okay, so Birchmount's only listed once, so that might be another one to call. But anyways, you guys get the gist. I might look up, say I looked up this 463 Birchmount and I went into it. I might see that it was expired the first time and then the next time it sold. So I'll cross that off the list, cross it off of the 30 or 40 I've narrowed it down to in my farm area. And you're just going to keep on going back and forth and doing that. And then you're going to look and you're going to find these people's numbers. And everybody asks me, oh, I don't have the do not call list. You know, I don't know how to find this person's number. The first thing I do is I go to Canada 411. So if you guys don't use it, it's a good resource for us. You don't have to pay for it. Like I find that the do not call list is only good if you're an aggressive phone caller. Like if you're making cold calls all day, every day, then pay the money for it. Yeah, it's a great resource. I love it because it has its own CRM built into it and everything. But if you don't cold call, you know, 100 phone calls a day, don't invest the money just yet. Get some listings first and get a budget for it. Come into Canada 411. It's free. Hopefully you guys can see the share. Let me go out and come back in so you guys don't miss this. Come into Canada 411 because you guys are going to do what I call a reverse address search. Okay. So reverse address search. So I'm going to say, I'll put 16 Virgin. I don't know if I'm going to hit a jackpot because it's not usually that easy, but let's see, maybe it's a lucky birthday day for me. Okay. So it didn't bring up 16 Virgin, but it's telling me these are all the other ones on Virgin. Okay. So what I can do is I'm going to really double, triple my efforts here. I didn't find 16 Virgin's number, but I've just looked him up and I'm all prepared to go knock on his door today. Maybe before I leave the office, I'm going to call 10 of these 31 on here because now I have something to say to them as well, even though it's a cold call. So I'm going to call Mr. Syed at 82 Virgin and I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I just looked up 24 Virgin for this guy at 16 who hasn't sold. I'm going to go knock on his door soon. But I'd say, hey, Syed, how are you? I'm Christine calling from Remax. I'm in the local real estate brokerage. And, I was just looking, and 24 Virgin on your street sold for 1.16. I think your street's doing really well right now. Market's picked up. Were you thinking of buying or selling? Yeah, no? Okay. Do you know of your neighbors that are thinking of buying or selling? Right? Because I've already wasted my time looking up sales in Virgin. Why not call the people on Virgin? Right? So I don't have Mr. Smith's number at 16 Virgin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print a little CMA for him. I'm going to get it together. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to go door knock on Mr. Virgin's door today at 16 Virgin. Right? Everybody, he's going to get at least 10.
There is no do not call list here, right? We can call.
Sorry?
There is no do not call list, right? Is it?
There is a do not call list. You have to pay for it. So I think some of the people in the office are paying for it collectively. It's not the cheapest thing. That's why I say if you're not using it to make 50 phone calls a day, it's probably not worth it, because you need to be getting listings pretty regular. Unless a lot of people are sharing it. So I don't know if you guys want to look into pooling for it, but anytime new agents are starting out, or if you don't have a big marketing budget, or you just don't make that many cold calls all the time, I always go on Canada 411. I'm kind of the, do it now and have a little bit of forgiveness later, right? Sorry?
Yeah, sorry. My question is, whatever the names and phone numbers we are getting here,
yeah,
is it filtered by using option do not call list, and this is the one, right? If it is do not call list, their name is there or their address is there, it won't pop up
the
here.
do not call list is filtered that way. So if you've ever used a do not call list, you can see the ones that come up in red or on the do not call list, and you can filter to not even see those ones when you're in that. This is just Canada 411. So the only thing that they'll have is unlisted. So you can be unlisted and not have your phone number listed on here, which is probably what this 16 Virgin guy has done. And a lot of people are like that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because they're listed on here that they're not on the do not call list. Like, you still might be calling someone on the do not call list.
That's what I want. Okay,
different things. Yeah. So when you use Canada 411, you might call somebody, just truthfully, you might be calling somebody on the do not call list. But I find, like, if you're just nice and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I was just calling your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, you're not specifically targeting them. You're not calling them 10 times in a row. Generally, people aren't too mad about it, right? Yeah. That's why I said you kind of just do it and ask for forgiveness later. If you're very concerned about it, you can purchase the do not call list. That's why I say, disclaimer before I show you guys what to do. These are things I do, though, like calling expireds. We're not supposed to, but I swear, if you go to any Rob Vivian, Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, any of these things, they're telling you do not call expireds. You know what I mean? Call terminated listings, because it's a good pool to pick from to get listings.
What is the website for do not call list to get it, get it? Do you know?
So a few years ago, they broke it down into, like, you can only buy 416 or you can only buy 905 kind of thing. And honestly, I'd have to ask. I think Vihisan recently looked into it, like in the last 6 months, and I believe some people in the office pooled in for it. But I think you're probably looking at least, a couple $100 for the month. If you pool in with about 10 people, maybe, because it is a couple grand. So I just don't know the exact fee, but I mean, I can always ask Vaheesan and message you and let you know.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah. But, like, buy it and use it. If you're going to buy it, use it. That's the worst thing, because it has a really nice CRM in it. So every time you go back in and you're calling, say, all the people on Virgin, you go to call Syed, I might have a note there saying he was really angry. Do not call him again. Do you know what I mean? And we're going to know that, like, don't call him again. He's an angry dude. Even though he's not on the do not call list or whatever, I might have put those notes in the system for my own reference. Or, hey, why Lynn? She said, call her in 6 months because she was just about to have a baby and she wasn't doing anything right now. So I might call her then in 6 months, say, hey, did you have that baby? Congratulations, right? It's a good CRM in the do not call list. It's a good thing to use in there. Very, very good system if you're going to use it. Like I say, it's not that I don't recommend it. I'm just kind of showing you guys, cost-effective ways to go around and sort of get some business and find some listings and make some cold calls, right? Anybody tried calling just expired or terminated before? I'm telling
I
you,
did, I did, I did few times.
you did.
Yeah.
How did it go?
No, sometimes it will work out, but sometimes no, I have a failure, but it's a good lessons learned, right? Yeah.
The failures are the best. That's why I
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
I always tell you guys, like I very often I ask at the
Mhm.
beginning of the training, tell me your good story, tell me your bad story this week. Because I want to hear the bad story, because then maybe we can talk about it. Because I have very often, troubleshooted with the agents talking, going, I went for a listing appointment this week and I didn't get it. Like, those are good stories to hear. Okay, why didn't you get it? What did they say? They said that, they had a friend in the business, or that their family member was a realtor, and I just couldn't get the listing. If you've taken the time, you've done this research now, you've seen that they've, got terminated listing, you've researched the neighborhood, you found the past sales, maybe you cold call few people on Virgin Street. Now you're sitting in front of Mr. Smith at 16 Virgin. Get the listing. You've already spent so much time, and effort on it. Don't walk away and go, oh, they have a friend in the business. What are we going to do? Right. I actually have a script that covers that one. We can always go back to for sale and just sold and just listed, which are my favorites, by the way. But we're going to relist what your commission will reduce. We have a friend in the business, right? So you're sitting in front of Mr. Virgin now, and you've spent all this time, and he goes, oh, I got a friend in the business. I'm not going to go, oh, you do? Oh, your bestie's a realtor? Okay, I'm going to walk away. I'm not getting this appointment now, right? So I'm going to say, no, I've spent all the effort to come here. I say, okay, you have a friend in the business. Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate that. Can I share something with you that might prevent you from making a mistake? When it comes to the sale of your home, are you looking to sell for the maximum price? Or are you trying to do your friend a favor? They'll probably say, I think my friend can sell it for the maximum price. Okay, you think your friend can sell it for the maximum price? Excellent. Can I make a suggestion? Why don't you let me give you a second opinion? If you like what I say, great. If you think your friend is the best bet, no problem. At least you'll be sure you selected the right realtor. Does that make sense? When would be the best time? 6 or 8, right? So scripts are, I like to say, a little bit of a skeleton of how to kind of follow and answer the conversation. Because the worst thing to do is when somebody throws an objection at you, you kind of go, and you have nothing to say. So they're just to remind you, hey, these are the things I can say, but I never say things like verbatim. Like, I would never tell somebody, hey, they're making a mistake. So I'm not saying read the script word for word. I would probably say something like, oh, that's great. Your cousin's a realtor. Perfect. What'd they say the property would sell for? You know what? Let me give you a second opinion just to see what the stats are. How long would you get that opinion? 2 weeks ago, your cousin told you that at the wedding? Great. I'm sure stuff is sold. Let me just sit down with you for a few minutes. And while I'm sitting down with them, I'm going to show them my value. I'm going to say, hey, this one sold in the last 2 weeks and this one sold just 3 days ago. And look at this. And they'll go, oh, I didn't know that. And then I'm going to bring all other stuff. I'm going to say, and here's your city assessed value. And did you know this about the property? And your property was built in 1969. And hey, I saw you purchased it in 2013 for this much. You made good money. I'm going to come with a lot more information than I'm sure that cousin did, right? And I'm going to show my worth, and I'm going to say, yeah, I got this great, team. We work at Remax Ace. Remax is just amazing online. 170 agents in my brokerage working right in your neighborhood. And, we're really active in this neighborhood. So I think, we do really well. And I think we could sell for top dollar. And the next thing you know, you have Mr. Smith going, yeah, that sounds great. You know what I mean? Okay, great. Sign the paperwork. Let's get this listing up, right? Forget about your cousin or your bestie who's the realtor. So you've got to find ways to just get over those objections. And especially when you're sitting in front of the person, I hate to hear that you've gotten all the way there face to face and you haven't landed the appointment, right? Or you haven't landed the listing. So it's a sad thing for sure. Let's see here. Well, we've done reduce your commission a million times. I feel like I do that slide all the time. I like just listed and just sold scripts. So I'm going to go to the just listed script. This is one of my favorite things to do. I can tell you that a lot of times when I get a listing, I have been known to call an entire building where my listing is in the condo, or call an entire street, because I think it's a fun script to go over. So definitely I would call somebody and say, hi, this is Christine. I'm from Remax. I'm with, in your local neighborhood brokerage. How are you doing today? The reason for my call is I just listed your neighbor's home for sale at 16 Virgin, right? When we all get that listing today, the asking price is $899. And a lot of times at this point, people say, oh, I don't want to sell my house. No, 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 no. I'm not calling to sell your house, right? I was wondering who you might know that like to move into your neighborhood. It's kind of like a pick your own neighbor program. Do you know anybody that you would like to be your neighbor at 16? I'm calling I don't know, Mr. John at 24 Virgin now. And I'm just listed 16. I'm going to say, hey, a couple doors down, wouldn't you like to have a nice new neighbor? I'm sure 6 degrees of separation. You might have a family friend or, know one of your neighbors who has a child that might want to move into the neighborhood or one of your coworkers is looking to get into your neighborhood pocket. So wouldn't you like to pick your own neighbor? And they kind of laugh at that a lot of times. They go, oh, yeah, that's great. No, I don't know anybody that's thinking of buying in the neighborhood. And I say, okay. I go, there's going to be lots of buyers looking at this property and they might not select it. I'm going to do, an open house this weekend, maybe. So my question is, if I had a buyer for your property, are you considering selling in the near future? Now you've just sort of slipped right back into what they were accusing you of first, but you're doing it in a really nice way where they're not like getting their back up and hanging the phone up on you right away. Right? So if yes, okay, continue. Okay, where would you like to move? So you're sensing their motivation now. Are they serious or are they just like kind of wanting to figure out what they're going to get for their property? Okay, what would be the perfect closing date? So their motivation, oh, I need to be somewhere by December. I just got a new job. Great. Let's set up an appointment for you. And then you're making other appointments from your just listed script. Okay. And it's going to do you well because a lot of people, even if they say, no, I'm not selling right now, I would actually add to the script and I'll say to them, do you want me to call you back though when the property sells? Because then I'll let you know how much it's sold for. And they go, yeah, great, no problem. And I don't only do this for listings, I do this for purchases as well. So have you ever been to with your buyer and the neighbors come out and chat with you? Right? Happens all the time. Grab their number, offer to call them back. We just did it recently for a property that our client purchased in East York. And the old lady was out, she was chatting with us and she was kind of actually being a little picky, like, where we were parking or not, we were being nice with her. But I said, hey, good opportunity, an elderly person, she's going to be selling soon. Got her number and I said, you know what, I'm going to give you a call back when this sells. Do you want to know how much it's sold for? And she goes, oh yeah, I'd like that. No problem. So as soon as our client firmed up the deal, we called her back and keep in contact with her. Now I'm going to probably watch that street a little bit. Call her in a month from now, maybe call her 6 months from now, tell her all about the sales. Did you see another one sold on your street? You know what I mean? If you have to build not a reputation, a relationship with people in your farm area. Now I might not work really hard on this lady. She's not really in my farm area, but it's definitely good to keep those contacts, keep the rapport, because the hardest thing to do is to go from nothing to sitting down face to face with people. So when you're already there and you have neighbors interacting with you, it's really good to build your rapport, build up your network that way, because you're sitting face to face and they're already talking to you, right? Get their number, call them back, keep them up to date, and call them on the regular. Say, hey, you know what? Did you see this happen? Did you see that happen? Maybe send them little updates in their email. Good morning. Different things like that to sort of keep on top of their mind. So just listed script, definitely my favorite. Okay. Just sold script. So this is a good script too. I encourage you guys to always send a just sold flyer as well. Best way to get your next listing. People will call you because it shows that you're able to do it. You got some clout in the neighborhood. And keep in mind, I like to say, sometimes people tell me, oh, I can't do a just listed or I can't do a just sold because I'm a new agent and I don't have any listings, right? Or I didn't sell anything. But I keep on reminding you guys, you can go back to Stratus and look at our brokerages just sold, just listed in the area. So the way you do that is you do a quick search. Let me stop the share and come back in case you guys don't see it. Okay. And you're going to go to a predefined search, right? And you're going to say my brokerage history. And so I want to see what my brokerage has available, say in my farm area, because I'm going to do just listed calls like I just talked about. So I don't know if we have it on EO4 right now. So I'm just going to kind of search Toronto. Okay. And I'm going to see what do we have in Toronto right now. Okay. So I'm going to say, hey, 52 Galloway. By the way, that's my listing. Everybody bring a buyer. Sell this property, please. I'm going to say 52 Galloway. Say this wasn't my listing. I'm going to call, the Guild and Galloway and say, hey, did you see that we have a new listing? You can use the almighty we. You're part of Remax Ace. So you don't necessarily have to have a listing or something that you just sold in the neighborhood to make your just listed and just sold calls, right? So it's a good way to do that. Come back in here. Okay, so in the just sold script is, you know, hi, I'm Christine from Remax Ace, your local real estate brokerage. The reason for my call is I just sold your neighbor's home at 16 Virgin, right? There are a few buyers that didn't select this property, but still want the neighborhood. I had a lot of buyers calling me. A lot of people come through my open house. People are really wanting this pocket. And my question is, if I had a buyer for your home, would you consider selling it? So it's sort of the end of that just listed script there. And then again, you're going to sense their motivation. Yeah, if you want to move, where would you move? How fast would you move? Right? So the key things are, I think you should keep in mind is that always, you know, approve what the clients are saying to you, repeat, build that bridge, make suggestions, try to book an either or appointment, not a yes or no, right? And like I say, always come to me. If like, I don't like to hear the bad stories, but I like it when you guys come to me and say maybe, hey, you know, I really didn't get that listing appointment. I don't know why. I thought I did a good job, you know, and then we can sit and talk about it a little bit and sort of figure out, troubleshoot how you guys can get that listing or how you could have closed it, or maybe suggestions on how you can go back and try again, right? So, yeah, does anybody have any questions on all of that? You guys call your farm areas. If you haven't picked a farm area yet, it's so important, right? I encourage you guys. I actually almost want to make it mandatory that you guys go and print a flyer now. It's the fall market. Everybody's getting off their butts a little bit to like maybe list their property and maybe buy a little bit. It's, you know, less scary because we feel a little more secure with that halt in the rates. Just make up a little flyer. And I'm telling you, pick a farm area of about 500 homes, okay? If you make 10,000 flyers and you send 10,000 out, it's not going to do you a lick of good. If you take a small budget this week and print 500, and then send out in 2 weeks a different sort of flyer to those same 500 people, and then 2 weeks after that you send a different set to, you're probably only doing, you know, 2,000 4,000 flyers over a little campaign of 4 to 8 weeks. It's going to do you more service that way. People are going to recognize you more that way. People will call you more. You'll be more of a brand in that neighborhood. You'll establish yourself more in your farm area. So just do it this month. Now October is already coming up, so we got October, November, December, the last quarter. Okay, we're going to finish the last quarter strong. It's easy to do one deal a month for you is 3 more deals for this year. Very easy to do, and you guys will end 2023 amazingly. You'll feel energized for 2024, right? We made it through a really hard year. If next year is better, you guys will be smooth sailing if you made it through this year. Everybody good? Does anybody have any questions? No? All right, everyone, I'll leave you with that then this morning. You guys have a lovely, lovely week. Next Friday is our potluck. So tell me what yummy, yummy things you guys are going to bring. Message me. I already have a lot of good stuff coming. I just like to take the list to make sure we don't get 10 people bringing cake and nobody bringing, like, you know, a vegetable. So just shoot me a quick message. Let me know what you're bringing, and I will see you guys all soon. Have a good week.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Catherine. Thanks. Bye, Vijay.
Bye.